mindset is everything, and you will get the problems that you expect. And if you focus on solutions, you will find the solutions. I say vulnerability is a superpower. He said, I never thought about it that way, never would have. At the end of the day, in order to scale, you need to have something that is scalable. You cannot.
It's really nice to meet you today, and I hope you're going to be having a great time with us. So first, I just want to start off with who are you and what do you do?
I'm Coralee Beatty. I am the owner of ThriveHQ, also the owner of Fire and Ice HVAC services. I do two different things right now. One is, my husband and I had a full mechanical company back. I guess we sold it almost 8 years ago. So we had it for 15 years prior to that. We sold it 8 years ago, and now we started our next one. We're focusing just on HVAC. And so I'm the owner of that. And then I'm also the owner of ThriveHQ, which is a consulting, coaching, training company for the construction industry. And I've really been focusing on leadership and workforce development, really helping people to develop their coping mechanisms, their ability to manage stress, just understanding themselves better so that when they are on site or when they are faced with pressure or stress that our industry really we experience every single day. They just have some tools and some strategies and some ways of dealing with that so they recognize some things about themselves and can be more productive. And at the end of the day, the way I see it is that being able to help our people be more productive in communication, in just relating to people, it just helps the bottom line. And for me, because I really care about our industry and the businesses within it, I see the people being our number one asset. Like, we need to take care of our people, and we're just not. So that's kind of where I'm focusing there.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the biggest things I've learned from working with VJ is that like the people are like at the core of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you have all these companies and you're doing multiple things, why do you do what you do?
Well, I've been in this industry for almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year that I started in it. And I've seen so much. Being a business owner, I saw a lot. My people that, a lot of my employees that we had, they struggled with some things. There's areas where I felt like I I could help them, or there was areas where I felt like I really can't help them. Like, there was just so much emotional attachment for me to be able to make the lives of the people around us better. That was really one of our that was part of our mission, was to make the lives of the people that worked for us better because they worked for us. And I saw the struggle that some of our people had, and there was, not a lot that I could control, is really what it came down to, because maybe I'm a recovering control freak. And so, the reason is just that I really do love this industry, and I think it has so much to offer, and it has a really poor reputation. And for good reason. There are a lot of leaders that just have learned from the leader before them, and they just don't know what good leadership looks like. And and they want to do well, they want to be a good leader most of the time. And so, when I can sort of help them understand what that looks like, and how how you can manage your people, and how you can deal with your people, and how you can guide your people in all the different ways. And on the other side of that, where I can work with their people directly and support them, it's kind of twofold, where I can serve both places. So the reason is I just really want people to enjoy a career in this industry and not be afraid of it. I want people to come in. And I mean, self-serving, yes, because I am building an HVAC company, and I want more people. I want really good people to come in. I want them to come work for us and recognize that this is an amazing place to be. I need to invite people into this industry and create a space where they want to be. And for me, that kind of is, I do it for the industry, and then I'll also be doing it for our company.
Wow, that is so interesting to hear. And it's like really inspiring to hear as well that like you really want to create such a welcoming space in your company so that people actually enjoy working there. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
our people are with it, like, this is their life. This is their
yeah.
life. And you are to a very large degree in control of the quality of their life. When you can give them a good work environment, a good place to feel good and want to go to work, that is huge for the quality
Mhm.
of life inside and outside of work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I feel like it's like the career is like half of your life, like
Yeah.
honestly, right? Yeah. So because you've been in this industry for like over 30, almost 30 years, right? What would you say is the biggest challenge that you find construction business owners are unknowingly going to be facing in 2025?
Well, that is a loaded question because it depends on who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what sector they serve. Like, are they commercial, or are they residential, or are they renovations, or are they new builds? Are they a sub trade? At the end of the day, I think there is a lot of challenges out there. Absolutely, you could name easily 100, whether it be the economy, or people, people don't have as much money in their pocket, or people are not, the starts are way down, like the construction starts are way down. There's a lot that you can like be, ooh, those are some challenges. And my perception, my perspective, I am somebody who always talks about mindset is everything. And you will get the problems that you expect. You will get what you expect. If you focus on all of the challenges, all of the problems, you will get all of the challenges and all of the problems. And if you focus on solutions, you will find the solutions. So yes, everybody is experiencing the same economy, environment, whatever it is. And there's going to be some that excel and do really well because they believe they can, and this is a great opportunity. And then you're going to have the other people that fall off the end and end up shutting down their companies because they think that this is going to be hard in the end of the world and their business is going to fail. And it will. How are you going to look at it? That's what I think on that. As far as
Yeah,
you get what you expect.
yeah, I definitely view like life through that lens as well. Like when you focus on like the bad things or like the things that aren't going well, then that's all you'll see and that's all you'll experience. But if you do look at the solutions, look at the positive sides, then you'll that's what you'll get as well. And
Agreed.
so is mindset one of the things that you use in order to create a welcoming and engaging work life, or do you approach engagement and fulfillment a little bit differently?
I think that mindset is something that I always talk about. So, when I am doing my training, for example, I always listen to the language that the people are using. Like one gentleman introduced himself, I'm just an apprentice. And I said, you're not just an apprentice. Like, just we use language that we're not even aware of. We talk about things we don't want instead of things that we do want. So, although, yes, mindset is at the very foundation, is the very root of everything and all of my operations and everything I do, it comes out in any of my interactions. I always draw people's attention to their language because language is so incredibly important to your experience. And at the same time, I don't say, today we're going to focus on mindset. It's just, it is the way I operate. It is one of my very strong core values is related to just the way you think, the way you act, the way you use your language. I'm very mindful of it. And so when I'm in my training, for example, I focus on mindset because a lot of the people I've worked with have a tend to be more negative. So I'm always changing things around. You see it this way, you say it this way. However, you could see it this way, or you could say it this way. Like, it's just giving them the opportunity to see a different side. It's helping them to understand that you see things a certain way and you could choose to see it a different way. They just don't realize it. They're just default to what they've always known. So when you start to kind of show them a different way of operating, they're just like, oh, well, this is interesting. Like, one of the topics that we cover in my first module training is on vulnerability. And if you can imagine, tradespeople or people in this industry embracing the idea of being vulnerable is one that is not really well received. And one of my participants said to me, he said, before this program, I always thought vulnerability was a weakness. He said, I never thought about it before as being something you could actually use and something that actually, was, because what I refer to it as, I say vulnerability is a superpower. He said, I never thought about it that way, never would have. And he said, it's helping him to be able to connect with people better. And it's like, yes, this is exactly it. It's not that people don't want to do these things. They just don't understand a different way, or they haven't seen a different way. And I just introduce them to a different way. And it all comes down to their mindset, the way they think about things, the way they see things.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to say, like, when I think about mindset, I have like this analogy like I like to reference. So like I would say you're like if you're in like a glasses shop, like a lens shop, then you're like giving people different lenses to try. And like they've had this like lens for how many ever years they've been alive, and
Hmm.
then they come into your training program, and then they get to try out these different lenses, and you give them lenses that could potentially help them see better.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's really fulfilling because let me tell you, they don't pick up on this stuff right away. Like it is just like it's like trying to get that block to start rolling. It takes some because they're it's information that they're just not used to. But the way I say it is that I'm planting seeds. I'm planting
Hmm.
seeds here to help you understand that there's different ways to see things. And when these things become relevant for you or when you're in a situation, you'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about here. And so it's just constantly, reminding people, people don't learn the first time. It's just constant reminder of how you could see things differently, how you could say things differently, and how you can experience things differently. There's a lot of things you can't control. And what you can control, you can always control your effort, you can always control your second thought, and you can always control your response
Yeah.
if you take the moment to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a really, really big and important thing to do, honestly. And
Mm.
so, because you have been a business owner for many years, what would you say your biggest lesson would be as a business owner in construction?
Well, that's there's two answers to that. One is the biggest lesson I had was don't treat other people how you think they want, like how you want to be treated. Treat them as they want to be treated. Because, the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And what I realized very early on in my leadership career is that that's not what the people wanted. I needed to get over myself because I am Gen X. I am solid. You got a job, go to work, or at least I was back in the day. Go to work, I give you a paycheck. That is our agreement. Why do I have to coddle you or why do I have to appreciate you? Like that's where I came from. I was thinking I was giving them a job and that's what they should be grateful for. And when I realized that that wasn't the case, because that was fine with me, I was completely 100% happy to be treated that way. That was good. And when I recognized that that's not what they needed or wanted, and I got over myself and took myself out of the equation and just gave them what they actually wanted, it was a huge difference. And the difference was in me, not them. It was me because I broke down the barrier that I was holding up and I could connect with them better because I wasn't making it about me and what I thought they should or shouldn't need. I was making it about what they actually wanted or needed. So that was a big lesson for me, kind of a one time, wide eye opening kind of thing. And on the bigger scale, as a business owner, I think asking for help, learning to ask for help, one, and getting help before you think you are ready. 100%. I waited way too long to get, help. And you're never going to feel ready. Just do it because it changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really powerful. I never thought of it like, the first lesson that you said. I never really thought of it that way because like I've also always been told like treat others how you want to be treated. And so thinking of it in that way is like really interesting. I feel like, not only with, with your teammates, but also with friends or family, you'd want to treat them how they would want to be treated, and that would lead to more vulnerability in conversation, more conversations in general. And so I think that's something I'm going to be taking home with me as well. And so, if you were to scale a team, what is the first thing that you would do?
To scale a team, did you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it also depends on what you're running, but at the end of the day, in order to scale, you need to have something that is scalable. You cannot multiply a mess, as I say. So if you truly want to build a company that is scalable, start with your unit, like your unit level economics, as they call it. Whatever your one unit is, like for example, if you're doing landscaping or for us doing HVAC, is like, what does it take for that one vehicle, that one truck to produce, say, $1 million and do it at a whatever profit margin you're looking for? So when you can figure out how that gets done with one unit, then you can multiply that unit. If you're not really clear, then you start multiplying a mess. So that's one piece of it. The second piece to really scale, so beyond a million, and if you're talking about getting to 3 or 10 or 30 or beyond, you're looking at people. You have to be somewhat, I'm just going to say cutthroat, and understand there's going to be some people that can get you to a million that won't get you to three. You need to get rid of those people because getting to any size company is 100% about people. Systems and processes are easy, relatively easy to put in place and scale that. If you don't have the appropriate people or the right people in the right seats, as they say, if you don't have those right people, you're going to be constantly fighting against, getting the right people and finding somebody else, and you're going to stall at whatever level those people are kind of performing at. So if you can continue, if you can get a really great group of people that can grow with you, because some people just aren't going to grow, they're just going to stay doing what they're going to do. And that's fine. There might be a place for them, but you need people who are going to grow with you, grow into the next level and want to grow. You can't scale a company just from the leadership. You need everybody to be coming with you.
Yeah, that is so true. And would you say, like, you said there's like some people that aren't willing to grow. Would you say that with the right leadership, it's possible for them to change and grow, or would you say from your experience, it's just easier to like let them go?
They need to want to change. They need to want to do things differently. And in this industry, like even with the training I do, I tell the owners of the business owners that I work with and, that bring their people into it, I say, I'm not going to train anybody who's not open to this, who doesn't want to grow, who doesn't see the value in it. I'm not fighting with somebody to understand this. So there are going to be the people who are very resistant. And I don't think that you can't make them change their mind. You can't, even the greatest leader cannot change the mind of somebody who is committed to misery. If somebody is open to learning, open to growing, and recognizes that things can change, because you can be person A to B to A today and then person Z tomorrow. Like, you can be so different. And some people just don't realize that. They think this is just who I am, it's just the way it is. And they don't see any possibility of doing anything different. If that's the case, then I don't think you want to put your time and energy into that. However, if somebody is open-minded and maybe has been limited or resistant to date and wants to still try, is open to trying, absolutely. I have a really hard time giving up on people until they give up on themselves. And even at that point, if I see something in them that they don't see in themselves, I will do everything that I can to really help them see that. And at the end of the day, nothing can happen without them really wanting to. I can love on somebody, I can appreciate them, I can, lead them, support them, guide them, give them everything that, would help them. And they need to take the bait.
Yeah, yeah, that is extremely powerful, I would say, especially like even for me, for business owners, I think for everyone, that's just like a really powerful thing. When you're interacting with people, like you can't really change them unless they want to change in any relationship, any business setting, whatever. It's really important to recognize that as, the person that is interacting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you have any final words to say as we close up the podcast?
I think I'm just going to close with what I really do believe strongly in, and that is the mindset piece. Because regardless of what industry you're in, who you serve, what you do, whatever you think you're capable of, you can do. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. And just really owning that will change everything for you.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah. Thank you so much, Coralee, for joining us in today's podcast session. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Yeah.
inviting
Crisha,
me.
sorry, do you mind if I jump in with two more questions? Do we have
Yeah, of
time for that?
course.
Coralee, are you okay
Oh
with
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm good.
I was just listening and admiring it all. Coralie, I mean, yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, I think Crisha and I can so much resonate with this. Obviously, we're, somewhat doing adjacent work, so love to hear it. I guess I have two questions I'd love to ask. And Crisha and I were thinking about how do we make this podcast a unique experience? And so maybe what the first one is, what would be a unique question to ask you, Coralie? Like you've mentioned, you've done your own podcast. Maybe you've been a guest on other podcasts. What's something that you've wanted to explore in a podcast or wanted to explore with us, but we didn't ask you? So maybe this is more about you creating a unique experience, Coralie. So what would that be?
Okay. Let me think. Do I have a minute?
You
um,
do.
I always think in terms of value, like in podcasting, for example. I I think who my audience is, what they're struggling with, and what value can I bring to them. And I think, the questions that you had with regards to business owners in the construction industry, people, all those things, I think that was good. I think really probably whether it be a question or something that I would add that would be unique would be from a ownership perspective. One of the things that my mentors, coaches, talks about, and I think is really powerful, is that if you want to build something or scale something that is meaningful, you need to be able to have a dream that is big enough to hold all the hopes and dreams of the people that you want to work with. And what's really important, I think, about that is understand, because that my experience is like when I did have a business, our hopes and dreams were not big enough to hold all that, and that's why we ended up losing some of our people or finding another place for them, because the path that they were on, we had other people that were already on that path, and it couldn't go fast enough for their timeline. So I think that is something to be aware of. Is just that give yourself the permission to think bigger than you ever thought possible and scare yourself a little bit. When your dreams or goals intimidate you, that's probably a good sign. Like, I think from that perspective, like just for business owners, we never, like in probably our first almost 10 years, we never thought big enough as far as what we were really wanting to build. Maybe it wasn't quite that long, but at least 7. For a long time, things we didn't think about. So I would say that, like, just, I don't know what the question would be that would draw that out.
Well, no,
But
that's it. You're doing
that would be my response.
perfect. No, thank you for sharing that. And I guess the way I take it is having those dreams big enough. So I guess what the rest of the team or the team feels like they're also supporting something that's sort of meaningful to them. Is that sort of the importance of that?
Well, yes, and it also, if you have like big goals, big dreams, big vision for what you're building, other people will have their own goals and dreams and visions for their own life. And if you are building something that is, can encompass what they're envisioning for their life, then they can be part of that and you can bring them along with you. So
Mm.
yes, it is one, buying into your vision is a huge piece of that. They need to be able to support you to do that. And if yours is so much bigger, so that they can realize their own goals within your company.
Okay. Beautiful. I mean, and then just last question. Crisha and I were talking about, and thank you for sharing that again. Crisha and I were talking about, by the way, I hope I stumped you with that question. That's always good to get you to think a little.
Yes.
And
Thanks.
maybe this one will too a little bit, because Crisha and I, as we were preparing for this, our sort of first ever podcast recording with an external. Crisha has interviewed me in our first podcast. We were thinking, what is uniquely most connected? What is uniquely about this podcast? And one of the things we were thinking about is like the person behind the expert. And so one of the questions, you talked about mindset, you talked about vulnerability. We'd love to know, what is your own challenge as a person, as Coralee, when it comes to doing this work? I even tell my clients, hey, look, I'm not above these things. I very much struggle with my own challenges as quote unquote control freak, working a lot, super passionate. What is your challenge, Coralee, to share a little bit of vulnerability and give that insight to you as a human?
I have no problem being vulnerable or sharing how ugly it is on the inside, like as far as like, because this is all a work in progress. I've been talking for years and years and years, and mindset is something that's been in my soul for years and years, and I'm definitely that I'm solid on. And there's some like discipline I'm very solid on. I do what I say I'm going to do. Like there's a lot that I have built and I can be very proud of. And I think, I'm hard on myself. I often think that I'm not doing enough. So I often work too much. Like it's what I talk to my clients about. You need to take time for yourself. You need to take time away. And I'm not very good at that. Like I'm not very good at that at all, because it is always one more thing, because it is always something else to do. And what I'm really kind of focusing on lately is that, after selling our last business and kind of doing what I've been doing the last, I guess, almost, well, 8 years since we sold, I'm not where I wanted to be at yet 50, almost 2 years in my life. And at the same time, instead of beating myself up, because that's what is easy to do, I focus on the part that, you know, I homeschooled my kids and I was running a business and my family was always my number one priority. So it's a credit that I'm giving myself. I'm like, I have an incredible family. We are very tight knit. My four kids are 14, 16, 18, and 19. And I have never met more functional kids that contribute, that are kind, that are all the things that I wanted, and tight knit. Like the four of them are just like a unit that I walk into the family room when they're all at home, because right now two of them aren't here. But when they're all around and I walk into the family room on a Friday night and my four kids are laughing together, watching TV, horsing around, like my heart. And I have to remember to give myself for that, because it's like that was, now you're going to make me cry. Good job. That was my priority, even if I didn't really give myself credit for it at the time. I didn't really recognize that that's what was more important to me than necessarily building the business. So now that I look back and say, I'm not where I want to be in my life, and recognize that my kids are exactly where I wanted them to be. And now it's my time to build the business and do the things on the business side that I've wanted to do. So I think probably the vulnerable piece of me is just that I do the things and I do the work and all of that. And at the same time, like I got a long way to go. I don't give myself the credit that I always tell people. Give yourself the credit. Like you look what you have done. You know, I'm hard on myself. I work too much and I'm working on it. You know, we're all a work in progress. And I think that it is a great question, because it is easy to talk about all these things, and to what extent are you practicing and understanding them? It's a work in progress for me. Like I definitely am very intentional about when I'm feeling down and beaten up on myself. I'm like, okay, remember this other piece of the puzzle, because that's what it takes. Like I said, you can't control your first thought. You can always control your second thought. And so my first thoughts are not always kind to myself. And then even maybe not my second thought, but you know, eventually I'm like, remind yourself. So yes, be kind to yourself, treat yourself as a friend. And yeah, I mean, we have to live with ourselves. And if we can live with ourselves, then I think we're doing okay. And I'm getting there.
Woohoo! You're gonna make me cry. No, beautiful. All right, so thank you so much. I think it's just amazing to see the human behind the work that you're doing. And yeah, I mean, thank you again, Crisha, maybe for you for final words. And I know we've gone a little bit over, so I'm happy to wrap up. But thank you, Crisha. You did awesome, Crisha, with your
Thank you.
questions. And then yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just so inspiring to hear someone that's like a little bit older than me to know that they
I'm
like
gonna guess that I'm almost 20. So,
Yeah.
but you go ahead. You can call it a little.
That's yeah.
yeah, but I think it's just like so inspiring to hear that like you've had like these successful like businesses, and like you also had like a family that was like successful. So like to think that like you can like have both things, I think it's like really cool. Like you can have like the career and you can have like building the family as well. So I think that's just like really inspiring to see. Like I was always thinking like it's like either one or the other. Like you would have to give up your career if you want to like have like, you know, like a successful like family. But like now I'm like seeing like you don't really have to choose, like you can have both as well.
Let me add something on that, because I think that this is really important. It's just that you can do anything really well, just not everything. And so this is what I keep reminding myself, is that at the time my family was my priority, even though, like I said, I wasn't necessarily thinking about that. My family was my priority, not my business. And my business was good. We brought it to a point where we could sell it. It wasn't as good as it could have been, for sure. It wasn't sell worthy to the point that we could retire. Like, don't get me wrong. We built something that somebody else wanted to take over. And I was like, sweet. So to put the pressure on ourselves to do everything well at the same time, I think is unreasonable. To understand that your focus is going to be on the thing that you prioritize, and you can also do other things really well at the same time, just not everything at world-class level, if that's what you're aiming for. Like, give yourself the grace to be human and focus on one thing, and know that you can be okay at the other things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like I have like a tendency to like do quite a few things all at once. So I think And I've been like telling myself, okay, just like focus on this one thing. Don't try to focus on doing like 10 different things at once. So that's something I've also been like working on.
Mm.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Coralie, for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.